This is the OTP Pregame, presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. 77 years in the business of providing Tennesseans with high-quality health coverage at an affordable cost. Visit fbhp.com to learn about our history in Tennessee. This is Amy Wells. I'm Mike Keith. We're glad you're with us. The OTP Pregame is the Thursday edition of the OTP. It's a lot of football generally.
Typically, yes.
But sometimes you get the opportunity to have a guest that you just simply will not turn down.
Absolutely not.
That is one of these times.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the OTP. Scott Hamilton.
Woo!
You can hear it. You can hear it.
You can hear it.
You can hear it.
You can hear it. Olympic gold medalist, broadcaster, entrepreneur, philanthropist, cultural icon,
Entertainer.
entertainer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imposter.
Imposter.
Yeah.
You do
I
not
don't
have
think so.
imposter syndrome.
I do, kind of, because it just, none of it makes sense to me. And the older I get, the less it makes sense to me. For the last 66 years, I've been playing with house money. And it's like, here we go. And now I'm sitting here with you guys. So it's been a really wild and fun ride.
Well, we have to say why Scott Hamilton is here. He wants to be with us, obviously.
Obviously,
Of course,
yes.
other than just the desire.
But Scott Hamilton and Friends,
Yeah.
Bridgestone Arena, November 24th, raising money to help us figure out how to get rid of cancer once and for all.
It is a solvable problem. 47 years ago, I lost my mom to cancer. And she was extraordinary. She had no chance. There was no solution for her problem. She suffered for 2.5 years and succumbed. And the day she died was the day I kind of decided that I needed to grow up a little bit, because I was kind of like stuck toward the bottom of the standings constantly. I was playing to lose, not to win, right? So the day I lost her, two things happened. One, I decided that I was going to take her with me to the ice every single day and be accountable to her and all the sacrifices she made for me and everything else. And the second thing I was going to do was be a fundraiser for cancer research. So I did that for 20 years. At the end of that 20 years, I was diagnosed with cancer. So now I was going through it. And the more I went through it, it was like I kind of had to transition from fundraiser to activist. And the more I learned, the more I realized that my mom had no hope. I was given a 95% chance of survival due to a guy named Larry Einhorn in Indiana, who figured out the right mix of chemotherapy drugs to eradicate my cancer and get me back into the world. There's more to it now, because now we've mapped the genome. Now we're even understanding the more even complex immune system that our bodies have. And I thought, it's not naive to feel that, well, our bodies created the cancer. Why can't we just teach our bodies how to detect and destroy it? Because right now we're sitting here, our bodies are detecting things that don't belong, and our immune systems are destroying them and discarding them.
Right.
What is it about the cancer cell, which obviously doesn't belong, but is something our body creates? How can we teach our body to detect and destroy it? So 10 years ago, we put a stake in the ground saying we're only going to fund research in immunotherapy. And 3 years after we put that stake in the ground, the first drug hit the market. It's been amazing to see the advancements. We're just really a fun group to work with. We don't feel like we can solve the problem alone. So the CARES is the acronym: Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, and Survivorship. So we've done a lot of really cool things in education and survivorship, and a lot of cool things in research. But now we're kind of letting the E and the S take care of itself, because we've established our programs there. And now we're fully invested in the R and the A, because we really understand that silos don't ever accomplish really anything.
So
well.
your aim is to narrow it to say, let's make it a solvable problem.
Yes, it's a solvable problem. And, CAR T is an amazing example of the T-cell therapy for, B-cell lymphoma, right? So they take your T-cells out, they reprogram them, and then they put them back in your body. And now they're hunting for those cells that don't belong, and they're programmed to find a certain protein that's in that B-cell lymphoma cancer cell, and they just destroy and discard it. So that's the future and the now of cancer research. Is just limited to a few cancers. It's getting broader and broader. Like, I was on a call with Moffitt Cancer Center last year, and 2 research scientists presented, and they got 2 stage 4 lung cancer patients to full remission using a cross between immunotherapy and chemotherapy. And it was miraculous because stage 4 lung cancer, when I grew up, it's like, make your plans.
Right.
Yeah, that was it. So we do an event every year. It's our big signature event at Bridgestone Arena. We just try to raise as much money as we can, and we try to be as inclusive as we can. And it's honestly, and it's not bragging if it's true. Isn't that what Muhammad Ali said?
That's what they always say, yeah.
It's not bragging. We're the only ones that can produce this show in the world.
Okay, why?
We have access to unlimited live music.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Iconic musicians.
Yes.
And I have unlimited access to the best skaters in the world.
Well, that's true.
Which is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I was a good citizen of, during my time, and people did well.
Yes.
And I've got Kurt Browning coming back again, 4-time world champion, and just in professionally what he did is remarkable. But we have all these skaters coming back, and they love this event because they never get to skate in front of live music ever. If the sponsors or whoever wants to come to the dinner afterwards, we do a celebration dinner at the Omni afterwards. Matt Rogers is our auctioneer. Yeah. Which you guys might know a little bit about Matt Rogers.
We've met.
Yeah. Now he's like, nobody handles a live auction like Matt Rogers.
There is nothing quite
and
like
then
that.
his dear friend Matt Eisman is coming to help us host it again this year for the 3rd year in a row. When you suffer that kind of loss, my mom was 49 years old. It's just like, I always thought if I could find a cure for her cancer, I'd have a better understanding of why I was born. She had metastatic melanoma breast cancer. 3 years ago, we got a immunotherapy research proposal for her form of cancer. And so CARES, thanks to the philanthropy of this town and our big event at Bridgestone Arena, we funded it fully. And on the 40th anniversary night of my Olympic gold medal, I got Brian Orser on my left, silver medalist, and I've got Joseph Objic, my bronze medalist, on my right. And I was able to announce that research study is now in clinical trial.
Wow.
So how do you even get that out? And it was so powerful because, these are 2 of my best friends, and we shared a great moment 40 years ago, and now we're together again, just laughing constantly. And Andrea Joyce was doing kind of like a Q&A with us, and she said, I don't understand. I do a lot of Olympics, and most podiums don't get along very well because they want that medal.
Of course.
And he goes, how is it that you guys are best friends? It's like, well, we enjoyed spending more time together off the ice than on the ice, and we were always rooting for each other. And it was extraordinary that on that night I got to better understand why I was born. Not so much about the 40th anniversary moment, but about what the moment I lost my mom, that was the big moment of now what am I going to do? And I'm praying that clinical trial goes all the way through and we're able to be that 95% cure rate that Larry Einhorn created in my form of cancer. So we're about immunotherapy, targeted therapies, treat the cancer and leave the patient alone. Let them live their normal lives, but let's get rid of the cancer. And it's been a remarkable journey.
ScottCares.org.
Yeah, ScottCares.org.
I know you have a lot of questions for him.
Oh, sorry.
I know you have a whole
totally
list.
hijacked your whole show.
You definitely didn't
prepared.
hijack. This is not your first meeting. You had the opportunity to be a part of his induction into the Tennessee Sports
And that
Hall
was
of
our
Fame.
first meeting.
That
I've
was-
listened to you since 18 years, whatever. How long have you been doing the Titans?
26.
Okay, yeah. So ever since I moved here, you're the
Well,
guy.
but I was excited that we were getting to honor Scott for what he had done here to get so many kids on ice.
Oh, man.
And that, to me, I mean, listen, we could have put you in because you lived here and you got a gold medal for your broadcasting. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about in that way that would have made you worthy of being in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. But I was excited that we got to honor the fact, like my nephew played hockey in large part, and the Predators have done a great job too. Don't want to take anything away from their efforts.
Build it and they will come.
Yes.
Yes.
But for what you had done to make ice available to kids, you've expanded the sports world in this state, which is why I thought he belongs in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. And so I was excited.
But you didn't get to ask all of your questions because Your
Hijacked.
moment was hijacked. See, I was looking for a different word.
I hijacked it. I had to hijack
but it was hijacked a little bit.
You mean something to the effect of like when Chris Johnson touchdown? All right, so it's 3rd and 7 at the 9-yard line. Titans trail the Ravens 17-13, 45 seconds.
Let's go.
Boskate goes in motion to the right.
Wow.
He looks, there's Young that way. Instead, he'll hand it to Johnson coming left. Johnson at the 5. CJ turns it up to the 2. In the end zone. Touchdown!
Like, how many people get to be in the room for that call?
Scott Hamilton, there are not many people that can get Mike Keith to do that outside of a broadcast, and yet you pulled it off, which is amazing. So I have to know why.
It was a big night.
Oh, yeah.
And you were handling how many inductions that night?
12.
12 inductions that night, a lot of things, and he was doing such a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm sitting there going, Mike is like the best of the best. And it's like, I just want to, it's just like, how many times have I sitting next to Vern Lundquist during the Olympics? How many
Speaking of
times?
the best of the best.
Yeah, right. So it's like, I just feel like that audience, I just wanted you to share that because that's iconic in this town. It really is.
Well, you're nice to say you.
It really is.
You
And
scared
so-
the crap out of me. Because I'm sitting here, because you're following. I mean, you do dinners.
Yeah.
You know how things go, and we're trying to get people home at a normal hour while giving everyone their moment and
Yeah.
have this special thing. And when he said that, when he said, "Hey, how about you do this?" I almost went out of body. I was like,
What?
He's not. Scott Hamilton is not really doing this.
It was so fun.
It makes
Well,
me
it turns
so
out it was
happy.
fun, and I'm glad you did it. But in the moment, I was just, oh gosh, and you're terrified you won't do it right. You know.
I mean, Mike, it's counting. You can count backwards.
Well, I can count
Yeah,
backwards.
you're really good.
5s, 10s.
Yeah, you can do it, man.
It was part of the degree. We had to cut the interview a little bit.
Well, are there questions
like
that you
now,
wanted to
we're doing-
All
ask?
right, so do I get the one that
You
I
get the
really
one you
okay.
wanted to
all right,
ask.
Here's
your time.
Here's
Okay.
what I really wanted to
I'm
know.
nervous now. Yeah.
No, you shouldn't be. You mentioned it's the 40th anniversary of your
Yeah.
gold medal.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my living room at 200 Valley Ridge Road in Franklin, Tennessee,
Oh boy.
watching on those, the big TV.
Oh yeah, the big tube TV.
And it's ABC at that
Oh,
time.
boy, it's-
Because that night it's Al Michaels
Yeah.
and Dick Button.
Al Michaels and Dick Button. Yep.
And here you're going for the gold medal. And what you as younger don't quite understand, and those of your generation, the Cold War was such a big deal at that moment. It hit every day of our lives somewhere. There was a fear. When we competed internationally and we had a chance for one of our guys or our girls to win, it was a big deal. No matter what your sport was, we all watched it. We knew who you were. You were in our thoughts and prayers. We wanted you to
thank
come
you.
through. And so you're the 3-time world champion at that point. You would win a 4th later. 3 in a row.
I was undefeated for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
for 4 years.
So I mean, you're just adding.
Which doesn't make any sense.
So you're going out there for the free skate to put it away, and we're all on your back at that point.
Yeah, it was a big day.
And you go out and you come through and you win the gold medal. And when you come off the ice, the first thing you say is sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, you were great.
Yeah, it was wild because that whole season, I was like, I'm going to eliminate every would have, could have, and should have.
Right.
Like, I'm not stepping on the ice in Sarajevo and going, oh, I wish I would have done a few more run-throughs. Or I could have worked a little harder. So my strategy going in was, my weakness is always the compulsory figures. And there were 30% of the competition back then. Short program was 20%, the long program was 50%, right? So I figured if I could be top 3 in all 3 events, mathematically, I could not lose. I won the figures, which was impossible because I beat probably the best guy ever, a guy named Jean-Christophe Simon from France. I went to Paris on the way. My coach was very strategic, and we stopped there to get used to the time change. He really wanted me to see Jean-Christophe's figures, and Jean-Christophe's coach wanted me to light a fire under his tail to be more like aggressive in his freestyle, right? So it served both coaches. So I put my patch right next to his, and I'm kind of like doing my thing, and then I look over, and it's like, I can totally beat him. Like I knew in that moment I could totally beat him. So I was first in figures, Go out for the short program. Brian Orser and I tied, basically, broken tie in his favor. Still sitting in first. He was 8th in figures, came up a little bit. So when we got to the freestyle, I had to be 5th. Brian had to win, which he was going to because he threw a clinic down that night. And I had to be 5th in the long in order to lose. And I haven't lost a free program in over 3 years.
Wow.
So like what I was getting from the media, and that's why I hid in my room the whole time, was, do you realize that you're the only real sure thing in this Olympics? If you lose, it's going to be a humiliation of our country. These are the proddings I'm getting from the press. I just hid. Going after that long program, I was a little nervous, and I made 2 mistakes. And I'd skated that program clean for almost 3 months. Like I hadn't missed in that program ever. And I was a little sick. Right side of my head was congested, and I couldn't take anything for it because of doping.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was kind of a little bit off my game, and I was so prepared that I was almost on the other side of it. And I had to survive that program in order to kind of win. And I was second to Orser because he was spectacular. And so I won the gold medal. And it was remarkable because the press conference afterwards, it was, well, how does somebody not win 70% of the competition and win the whole thing, right? Because they didn't understand. They're either football writers or baseball writers or hockey writers, and they're there to cover the Olympics. They don't understand figure skating. And Woody Page was one of them. So Woody's a legend. And yeah, I lived in Denver. He's Denver Post. He's already written his article, and I'm just going to get tarred and feathered. I'm going to come back to my hometown shamed. And I just told him exactly how it went down. I go, yeah, I came here with a strategy. I go, if you guys are football writers, and especially if you're like a Bronco writer, and you go to the Super Bowl and somebody throws up 35 points in the second quarter, you're probably not going to win the game, So that's kind of what I did. I scored 35 points in the first quarter. And how do you make up that ground? You just can't. And I go, I didn't do my best here, but I came in with a strategy. I stuck to it. Brian Orser was magnificent. I'll never take anything away from him. He's one of my best friends. And Woody tore up his article.
How did you even function with all of that pressure?
When I won my first Worlds, I was thinking either the sport's at its lowest place in history or I got up my game. And then I got through that. And then the next season I was undefeated. I went to the World Championship and I won it again. And I'm looking at the whole sport and it's like, I'm not competing against everybody in the world. I'm just competing against knuckleheads like me. And all they want to do is the best they can. So my job is to get better next year and then be better the next year after that. And that way I can stay ahead of those guys. And so the next year I went to the Worlds and I really upped my game. I was like way better, changed everything. I was wearing more of a speed skating suit to kind of create a more athletic image of the sport. I was different, right? And so I won that Worlds easily. And then I had all the momentum in the world going into the next season. And I was headhunting that year internationally because I wanted to compete against the second place guy everywhere I could to convince him that he couldn't beat me. Wow. Like, just give me, where's he going? That's where I want to go. And I said U.S. figure skating, I said, nobody's won the European Championships, no American except for Dick Button. I want you to get me into the European Championships. And they go, we can't. And I go, why? And he goes, well, when Dick Button won it, they created a rule that no one was allowed to come back from North America. I go, come on. That's not fair. Those European skaters are in front of all those judges more than we are. I want to be in front of those judges. So I was going after everybody. And that held through. When Orser beat me in the short and the long in the Olympics, there was all that kind of like, well, I mean, he barely made it through. And I said, where are Worlds? Oh, they're in Canada. Where's Brian Orser from? He's in Canada. Let's go to Worlds. So I was offered all these endorsements, right? And I turned them all down to go back to the World Championships because I figured the government's going to take half that money before I even get it. And I'm going to spend it like within a week. It's like, so why don't if I go have a fourth Worlds, I have that forever.
Forever.
And it's just me and Hayes Jenkins and Dick Button. And so I went back and in Ottawa, Canada, against Brian Orser, went in with the same strategy. I won the figures. I won the short. And then he beat me in the long pretty bad. And I got my fourth World Championship, and then it was time to get a job.
As a competitor, having been under that kind of pressure, Will Levis, if you were advising somebody who faces that kind of scrutiny, that kind of pressure as an athlete, what's your number one piece of advice?
Preparation. It's all preparation. It's all preparation and knowing that you've got that throw. knowing that, you understand that defense, knowing exactly where your receivers are going, knowing exactly, the timing of that hand, all of its preparation. And all that preparation for like a Will Levis, it happened in little league stuff, and then it went to high school, then it went to college, and now he's in the pros. It's all, talent and preparation. But the main thing is going into that moment knowing that you've done everything you can, and now you just got to step into it and make it happen. And so when you're an individual athlete, as Vern Lundquist would say, alone on the ice, it's just you. It's all on you. My body knew what it was doing. I'm in the air for 0.7 seconds. How much thought is going to go into that if I have to make any, no, my body is trained to do its job. Let your body do its job. And the mental side of it is try not to stand in your opening position and say, don't choke.
Right.
I'm prepared. No would-haves, could-haves, or should-haves. I don't have one regret, and I'm stepping into this moment because A, I earned it, and B, I'm prepared.
So
and just
trust your preparation.
Trust your preparation and trust your body. Let's say in football, right? You've got a receiver wide open, right? And by the time the ball gets to him, he's 60 yards away. You've got to know exactly how much force you're going to put behind that ball because you want to put it right into his hands. That takes repetition and an understanding of what that moment looks like. He was open, but that quarterback had to be so unbelievably skilled in his release and his timing and knowing exactly where to put that ball. Like 60 yards down the field on the run with a guy that could probably run a 4.3 40, and you're trying to put it right in the basket. It's like, come on. You know how impossible that is? Not for them, because they've had all that preparation. They have all that skill.
Talking about preparation, trusting your body and trusting just your instincts, really, because your career is one that doesn't end at the Olympics.
No.
A lot of people who win Olympic gold medal, a lot of people who win Olympic gold, though, that's the pinnacle. That's the best point in their career. For you, that's one thing in a list of 1,000 things that you've done. You've got stars on ice. You're a broadcaster. You've done all of these incredible things as a philanthropist, as a fundraiser, the list goes on and on and on. You're a cultural icon. Like, everybody knows Scott Hamilton. Is that because you were prepared for every moment? No. When I won 84 Worlds, I was still living in my best friend's parents' basement. Really?
He went off to law school at DePaul. And I was living with the family just for a couple weeks. I stayed for 4 years. And so I needed to figure out a way to next. And there was no path for a male figure skater. If I were Canadian, yes. If I were a woman, yes. American woman, like Peggy Fleming paved the way. Dorothy Hamill paved the way. There was just, you step right into that. And it's like, but for a guy, not so much. And when I signed with the Ice Capades, the president says, I have no idea what we're going to do with you, but we had to sign you because we didn't want you going to the competition. I had to kind of figure out a way to build an audience and to build their trust. So I worked really hard. I never missed a press conference. I stayed at top of my game, skated really hard, skated well, never missed a show. I was learning about lighting and music and production. And I was learning about, how it all works because I was fascinated by it. And I was skating really hard. And then the president of the Ice Capades, who I'd grown a really good friendship with, he came, put his arm around me, he started to walk. And I thought I was getting my third-year option. But he was there to tell me that the new owner of the Ice Capades didn't want any male skaters. So they were letting me go. So I met my manager. He goes, meet me in Florida. We'll talk about next. And so I met him in Florida. We're sitting on the beach in Delray Beach, Florida. Went down for the Lipton, I was a big tennis fan. And he goes, I've done everything I can, every trick in the book. They're not going to bring you back. And he goes, but we've been talking internally, and you seem to know a lot about the sport and, shows. Can you help us put together a tour? And I remember looking at him, and I said, let me check my calendar. I'm so unemployed. It's unbelievable. And so I just, pen to paper, I went, I started recruiting. I said, I need you to do production. I need this. I need that. You're going to choreograph. We're going to do this. We're going to bring the skaters together. And we put on a show 38 years ago that turned into Stars on Ice. And it was amazing. I remember we were 6 years in. I'm on the road with Orser. We're just having a blast together. We're doing all these shows. I've got Peter and Kitty Carruthers. I've got Gordy and Grinkoff. I've got like, Rosalind Sumner's. It's, all the Olympians wanted to be a part of that. And so we took them all. I'm covering my first Olympics for CBS. And at the end of the competition, Christy Yamaguchi miraculously wins the gold medal. And they ask her, what's next? She goes, I'm joining Stars on Ice. And I was like, well, now we're really pregnant. What are we going to do now? So we went from 30 to 60 cities, and then, Canada got bigger. Everything got bigger and bigger. Paul Wiley joined us, and then Torvald Dean joined us, and then Katarina Witt joined us, and it's just like Kurt Browning joined us, and we just kept getting bigger, and we were selling out arenas all over the country. It was just this huge success story. And I got to the point where I figured if I skated 4 years, I'm fooling a lot of people as a pro. If I skate 6 years, I'm obviously a fraud. But now, like, I'm headed towards like 15 years, full touring, nonstop, 16 years, go. And then, I get cancer. And so I had to skip the last 10 cities of the 60-city tour, and then Canada. And I went through chemo, and then I had a big old 38 staple surgery. And my whole thing was, I'm going to be back on the ice next year.
Wow.
No matter what. So from the day I was diagnosed till first performance back, which they did a CBS television special called Back on the Ice, it was 6.5 months. Looking back on that, it's like impossible, like that ever happened. But I was back on the road the next year. And then on the 3rd anniversary of my diagnosis, I'm doing Stars on Ice in Memphis, and I meet my wife backstage. And it's like, you just can't make this stuff up. So all of that, right? And you just had to make it up as you go. Where do you get your inspiration? And mine were all rock stars, right? Bruce Springsteen. I'm going to blue collar my way. I'm going to figure out a way to grow an audience, and I'm going to work harder than anybody. I'm going to show up, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be Bruce Springsteen. It's like that because he was like amazing. And then I'm going to like Neil Diamond. Have you ever been to a Neil Diamond show?
Have not.
Oh, the joy coming from the stage was infectious. I want to be like that. I want it just to be the great. Every night I'm I want it to be the greatest night of my life. I want to be like Neil Diamond, right? And then the last one was Robert Plant. Robert Plant wasn't afraid of anything. He was going to take on every rhythm, every texture, he was going to explore music post Led Zeppelin. I remember seeing a quote, one of those inspirational quotes in the training room at Ottawa, no journey truly begins until you can no longer see dry land. And I wanted that to be my every year. So I get this Olympic gold medal. I come back to a parade. I train in relative isolation. So now I go from being, this guy's tracing 8s on my own to being in a parade in Larimer Square, 5,000 people just packed, and the governor's wife is there and the mayor's there. And it's like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And so I survived that, thinking, wow, this is really fun. Parties. It's like, yay. It's like toast the town. Yay. And then I get called into the governor's office. And
It's Governor Colorado, right?
Governor Colorado, Governor Lamb. And he couldn't make it. He had other things he had to do on the parade day, so his wife represented, but she was a cancer survivor. And I went to his office, and I'm in a jacket and tie thinking it's a photo op, because they all are, right?
Yeah.
And he sits me down, excuses everybody, and I'm sitting across the desk from him. He said, "You seem like a nice young man." I was like, "Thank you." He goes, "No, my wife told me yesterday that you had some time to visit." And I go, "She's a great lady." And he goes, "Yes, she is." And I just felt like I needed to pour into you a little bit. And I go, "Okay." And he said, "Look, have you ever heard of the hometown hero syndrome?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, hometown hero syndrome is basically this. You're the captain of your high school football team. You're the quarterback. You throw a bomb at the end of the game to win the state championship, and you get carried off the field on the team's shoulders, and you expect the rest of your life to be that way." He goes, it just isn't. I want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but I also want you to know that it's not always going to be like this. There'll be a day when nobody celebrates your accomplishments anymore." And I was like, I'll never forget this moment. And it was so generous, and it was so kind, and it was so wise. And the next thing I did was I spoke at the Paralympic banquet in Denver, Colorado, which was at a hotel basically across the street where I just met the governor. And I walked in with my medal, and all these athletes, blind, without legs, every possible obstruction you can imagine, had the same medal I did. But I'm able-bodied. And I was offended that I would think that anything I ever did was worth anything. And so my Olympic gold medal lived in a brown paper bag at the bottom of my underwear drawer for 8 years until I could figure out a way to get rid of it. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. It offended me in every possible way. There's so much I want to experience. There's so many things I want to do. To get stuck in this moment would be a crime. It would be obnoxious. So at the end of that 8 years, I was inducted into the World Figure Skating Hall of Fame, and the museum reached out to me and they said, hey, would you like to leave anything here at the museum, as part of your induction? I go, everything. And they go, what do you mean? I go, everything. From my first little silver medal in 1968 in the sub-juvenile pre-men competition, everything. And they took everything. And
wow.
It's all there. And so I don't have to get stuck. And I had no idea what any of that meant until, I meet my wife. She brings me into my faith. When I really started digging in and building my understanding of who I am in Christ, I realized that those things are idols. And idols are things you worship instead of who you really should be worshiping. And that was already in me back then before I ever dedicated my life to the Lord. And it was remarkable. I can look back and I can start connecting dots now in different ways, that it was always. I was an unintended, unwanted child. My mother saw me through, brought me into the world, and put me up for adoption. I was given incredible sacrificial parents who gave me the foundation I needed to kind of step into the next. And every single step of the way, God was there. Jesus was there and I didn't know until I just sort of looked up. And the second I looked up, I realized it's all connected. And for anybody out there that's watching this, that's going through cancer right now, I can tell you that it was the hardest period of my life next to losing my mom, but it was important. And it made possible everything I get to do today. I wouldn't have met my wife had I not had cancer. I wouldn't have my children had I not had cancer. So how do I look at that as a curse, right? And then looking at my son Aiden, the day he was born, his feet were here, his head was here. I never saw flesh of my own flesh before. I'm looking into my eyes, and it's like, wow, that's miraculous. All the other stuff is activity.
Your gift wasn't skating, it's gratitude.
I like that. Yeah. I'll take that.
You should.
Every decade has its own identity. Like 0 to 10, it took forever. Remember how long 0 to 10 took? Yeah, it took forever. And like all these things happen. Like, you get out of diapers and you go into preschool and then you're in school and then you're this, then you turn 10 and it's like double digits. And then from 10 to 20, lots of really cool things happen. You start, go through puberty, you get a driver's license, you turn 18, you graduate high school, you go to college. And then 20s, it's like, oh, game on. Now you got to start asserting your identity and on your independence and everything. And then from 30 to 40, it's like the cement starting to set on your life and you kind of understand here. Maybe you start a family, maybe and you kind of know who you are and what your place is in the world. And then 40s is like, I can finally be comfortable in my own skin. The key to the 50s I learned was when you get out of bed in the morning, take advantage of it because that's as good as you're going to feel for the rest of your life.
Thanks.
and then the 60s is such a remarkable decade of pure gratitude. In every situation, it's like, thank you, Lord. Like I'm here and I'm able to do things and I've made all these friends and I've got all these experiences and I can just look back on it all and just take a breath and go, wow, this has been such an incredible ride that it's just pure gratitude. So yeah, it's a superpower, I guess. And thank you for that.
Listening to your message and hearing, you've gotten to be so many different places and see so many different things and you've had bad things happen.
Oh.
You've obviously had a lot of good things happen, but at the same time, you've shared the journey with so many other people. Like I'm talking about my nephew getting to play hockey and have that experience in large part because of what you put forth here.
That's the Predators. And
you've been big, to get kids skating in different ways, just to have normal people enjoy. Amy wants to go to Scott Hamilton skating school.
I was looking at classes today.
Our adult program is spectacular.
It's all I've wanted to do.
No, our adult program is spectacular. We got great coaches. It's really remarkable. I mean, from 3 to, I think our oldest learned to skate person was, I think, probably in their 80s. And it's just like, it's fun. You know, and a lot of parents put their kids in hockey. The kids want the gear and they want the gear. And but they go straight into house league. And it's like, would you put your child in soccer if they didn't know how to run? No, probably not. Let them come to us. When my son was playing house league, I was talking to one of the dads, and I go, how you liking all this? And he goes, oh, it's so much fun. He just doesn't know how to stop. And I go, that's a fundamental issue.
It's a problem, yeah.
I go, we do learn to skate Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday in Antioch. And I go, put them in a class. We do there's a whole hockey kids in there. They get to wear their gear. They get to do all their things. The next Tuesday, his son was in the class, and he learned how to stop both ways. And just the self-esteem, you can just see the joy just erupt. And it's like, that's the stuff. I mean, I'll do this forever. I mean, it's kind of been my happy place. I got busy. I was doing other things. And now I'm kind of like, we're kind of inventing what the skating academy looks like. And we're at a send-off for the kids going to sectionals. And it was a lot of kids going to sectionals now. And so many of them took their first steps with us. And now they're competing at that level.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, because the thing about sports is there's such a joy. I mean, when you find your thing, for my son, it wasn't football, it was running cross country. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Find your thing. I mean, if you get that, it just makes such a difference. And by offering more things, it's huge. This part of the country was one of the first places in the South to play soccer. They started playing soccer in Middle Tennessee, pretty competitively in the 70s, way before other places. That's good, man. Joy is good.
Yeah,
why not?
Why not? I remember my first days on the ice. I had to do this supplement that I hated because it tasted like chalk, right? It's the only thing keeping me alive, all that stuff. And so I wouldn't drink it anymore. I kept telling my mom I was going into the bathroom to drink it. I just dump it down the sink and put a little on my thing. Going, and so I got caught.
It makes me feel better about him.
Yeah.
It really does.
And so our family physician lived about 3 doors down, and he came over my parents said, he has to drink the supplement and he won't do it anymore. I said, I'm not going to drink this stuff anymore. So they put a tube up my nose and down my esophagus. And so they'd feed me this supplement through the tube. I never had to taste it again. It's like, game on, let's go. So when I went to the first skating class I ever went to, I had a tube coming out of my nose, taped to the side of my face. The end was over my ear, and I'm with like 120 well kids. And it's like, after a few weeks, I realized that I could do something as well as well kids.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, huh. And then after a few more weeks, I realized I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. Now, I was always the littlest. I was always the sickest. I was always the weakest. I was always the ist, right? I finally found something that gave me that taste of self-esteem. And I just became a rink rat. We're all sports fans. We love to watch, we love to cheer, we love to do all these things. And behind every single one of these athletes is, you look at every Titan, a family sacrificed.
Oh, yeah.
For that person to be on that field doing something at a level they never dreamed possible. Being a sports fan is like the greatest thing ever. My wife loves sports. So we sit and watch football together, and it's really, I hate when the football season ends.
Same.
Yeah, we do too.
But again, it's like I'm a huge hockey fan. I'm a huge Predators fan. When I get to go to the Olympics, that's my only night out usually is going to a hockey game, because Olympic hockey, like I was at all the USA games in 1980. I went to all of them.
Wow.
And it was really fun. And the Russia game was electric. And then every Olympics, I just try to find a way to go to Finland. Sweden is my favorite because they're such nice people, but they really hate each other on the ice.
Hey Titans fans, with a Kroger Boost membership, you'll score big with double fuel points, free delivery, and lots more. Go to Kroger.com/boost for details. Kroger, official grocer of the Tennessee Titans. Tighten up.
Home is at the forefront of all that we do. It's why we're so committed to caring for the places and spaces in which we work and live. Ashley, the official furniture provider of the Tennessee Titans. So this is the OTP pregame. So we have 5 questions.
Yeah.
And it was Amy's idea.
I'll keep them short, I promise.
That's okay.
No.
But it was Amy's idea to make the 5 questions, the 5 topics about Scott Hamilton and friends.
Mm-hmm.
November 24th, Bridgestone Arena. Get your tickets. There's an after party.
There, it's so good. It's such a great event. And you know what's wild is we haven't still built our audience like we need to in order to sustain the event.
After this?
Oh, yeah. No, honestly.
The OT people will be there.
We're the only people in the world that could do this event. Like, this event can't happen anywhere else, and it's only performed once, ever. And then the next year is totally different. Last year was 90s
This is the 8th
countries.
one, right?
This is 8th. But last year was 90s country. This year is Christmas. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing.
Okay.
It's always good.
Topic 1. Does Scott Hamilton skate at the Scott Hamilton and Friends Holiday Spectacular?
I have not performed. I did a little step out one year, but I never say never. I replace never with I can't imagine a scenario that would allow. However.
I like that.
Topic 2. Scott Hamilton is the most famous person at Scott Hamilton and Friends. Who is the second most famous person this year?
Oh, my goodness. You've got Kurt Browning coming back. You got Katya Gordieva coming back, who's won 2 Olympic gold medals. Beautiful, amazing skater. Elijah Balde, I mean, what he does on social media is incredible. CeCe Winans.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
A really big deal. I mean, Stephen Curtis Chapman just went into the Grand. He's an Opry member now. You got Chip Eston. I always try to make sure that the show is populated with familiar names, faces, and abilities.
Topic 3. The Titans play in Houston earlier that day on November 24th.
No reason not to be at the show, by the way.
Well, there's plenty of time.
You have plenty of time.
You have plenty of
We have
time.
time to watch
And
the whole
remember-
game, celebrate the victory, and then get downtown.
And here's what's really important. You can always listen to the fourth quarter on the radio.
There you go. Titans Radio.
Titans Radio.
Here for you.
104.5 The Zone in Nashville. So will you give the Titans a shout out after we beat the Texans?
Oh, man, if they beat the Texans, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, good. Topic 4. Who's your favorite musical guest at Scott Hamilton and Friends?
Sitting down backstage before rehearsal with Aretha Franklin was really cool.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
that was really cool. And she loved figure skating. We had Kenny Loggins, huge Kenny Loggins fan. Michael McDonald. It's like Peter Cetera. It's like Amy Grant. It's Vince did the show in Cleveland one year, and he almost killed me. That guy is hilarious. But it was all these people. Liza Minnelli did the show there one year.
Wow.
It was like royalty had come on our stage. Cyndi Lauper was booked to do a show, and she walked in and she goes, "Where am I?" And I go, "Hi, Cindy, I'm Scott. You're welcome." She goes, "Where am I?" And I realized that her management probably didn't tell her she was doing a skating show. Oh. And I go, "Well, this is my annual fundraiser for cancer. We've raised tens of millions of dollars. And would you like to meet some of our skaters?" Because I needed a hooker because I was going to lose her. And she goes, "Sure." And I go, "Cindy, this is Dorothy Hamill." And Cindy's eyes went like that. And she goes, "Nice to meet you. Guys, we have a precarious situation here. I need everybody's cooperation." It was hilarious. So we've had all these huge artists, these big moments, and it's just been spectacular.
All right, last one.
Okay.
How do you buy tickets to the Scott Hamilton and Friends Holiday Spectacular?
Ticketmaster, Bridgestone Arena box office, scottcares.org. Now, we turn Bridgestone Arena, for all of you that haven't been to the show, we turn it into a theater. The glass goes away. We cover the boards with black. We put 2 rows of seats on the ice, and then it's seamless. So there's no barrier between the audience and the ice, and it's magic. If you've never seen skating live in front of you before, have you ever been to a skating event live before?
I have.
Have you been close to the ice?
Not particularly. No, I didn't get that good.
The power, the speed, the athleticism, the explosive nature of skating.
Incredible.
It's so much fun to do these things with my friends and contemporaries and heroes.
Hey Titans fans, SeatGeek makes it easy to find tickets so you can be a part of all the touchdown celebrations this season.
Whether you're buying or selling football tickets, SeatGeek is the place to do it. SeatGeek is the official primary ticketing partner of the Tennessee Titans.
The most disruptive idea in ticketing, a ticket that works. Expect the expected.
SeatGeek.
SeatGeek. Made a rookie mistake this football season? Maybe you should have had a Snickers.
Because now you can enter for the chance to turn those rookie mistakes into prizes, including a trip to Super Bowl 59.
Visit snickers.com/rookie mistakes for details.
We have to sort of wrap up.
Oh, yeah, no, we can be here
Don't
all
leave.
day.
Don't leave. Don't
Yeah.
leave.
You stay. You're
You've got to stay. You've got to be a part of this. We have to get ready for the game on Sunday against
Yeah.
the Vikings. So it's now time
Oh, there we go.
For the key ingredients of the game delivered by Little Caesars. Key number one for the Titans this weekend at Nissan Stadium, turn up the heat. After back-to-back games with 4 sacks, the Titans defense did not record a sack in Los Angeles. The Titans pass rushers need to get back to their nasty ways and turn up the heat on Minnesota quarterback Sam Darnold. Key number 2, keep feeding Calvin Ridley, that is. Ridley has 20 catches on 32 targets for 300 yards in the last 3 games and has been making big plays, so the Titans offense isn't faced with driving the football over and over again. Scott Hamilton's right here.
It's crazy.
And
I need you to just power through, man.
Finally,
It's
the
wild.
Titans must keep track of Justin Jefferson wherever he goes on Sunday. That's key number 3. It's going to be up to the cornerbacks, the safeties, the nickelback, the linebackers, you name it. No one Titans player will slow Justin Jefferson on Sunday. It will take the entire back 7 to make it difficult.
Little Caesars is the official pizza partner of your Tennessee Titans. Download the Little Caesars app and get your favorites delivered today. Delivery fees do apply. All right. Scott Hamilton.
Switch.
Oh, boy.
Mayonnaise.
Hellman's mayonnaise. Now it's time for a mayo-tivation from Hellman's.
Mayo Titans cheers be loud, and your buffalo chicken dip make you, your mama, and the entire family proud. Hellman's, the official mayo of the Tennessee Titans. Mayo game day be delicious. Look at this. There
Scott
you go.
Hamilton, what a pleasure to have you with us. Scott Hamilton and Friends, Holiday Spectacular, November 24th, Bridgestone Arena. Get your tickets.
Again, this is our signature event that does more to fund cancer research than anything else we do all year. So we're really, really, really hoping that this is our biggest and best year ever. It's remarkable that this event has an opportunity to save lives. And I always say that the greatest gifts given are to those that'll never know the origin of that gift. And so we fund research. Larry Einhorn was the research scientist that saved my life. Testicular cancer had 5% survival rates 50 years ago. Thanks to him, they're 95%. 27 years later, I'm still here. My mom never had a chance. Now, maybe through this research, the next person facing that particular cancer does. So we really encourage everybody, if you're a cancer survivor, if you want to honor somebody in your family that's gone through cancer or is going through cancer, the best place to be is where there's hope. And there's hope with us. And we are truly trying to change the world forever and for the better.
You are. You have.
Join
us.
You will. Thank you.
For Scott Hamilton and Amy Wells, I'm Mike Keith. Thanks for joining us for the OTP pregame.